everyone, I've got a review for you today on a fragrance and it's called Ma Blonde. The company is called Ma Blonde and the fragrance is called Ma Blonde. The sample was sent to me by Stefan Matthews quite a while ago now. Stefan Matthews has a blog all about fragrances, so I'll link that below, and he was kind enough to send me, he had a couple of samples, so he sent me one that he had spare, and I wore it when I was on my little holiday in North Devon in the UK way back at the beginning of summer or the end of spring, and I really enjoyed wearing it there. I featured it in that video that I did about the fragrances I wore on my holiday, so you can check that out if you like. But today's review, I've been wearing this one, so I've used it up now just to show you. I have completely emptied the sample. Let me give you the notes. The notes are in here. We've got bergamot wild raspberry, mandarin leaf and blackcurrant absolute, jasmine absolute, tuberose, magnolia orange flower, almond flower, mimosa peony petals, amber tonka bean, honey natural vanilla, patchouli vetiver sandalwood and a dash of leather marshmallow. So the list of notes are awesome, they sound amazing, and that's why I really wanted to try the fragrance. And it's really unusual actually, the fragrance. So when you first spray it on, I notice a creaminess accompanied by a spiciness. So there's this creamy, almost like a creamy soapiness, but it's very slight. It's not that noticeable, but the spices, the strong spiciness is very noticeable. I don't think we've even got any spices really listed. No, there's no spices listed, but to me it feels really spicy. Not mega dry spicy, like a medium, not dry, not moist, somewhere in between spiciness with this creaminess. And I think that perhaps the tonka and the vetiver, which are in the base notes, but I think that they actually come into play pretty much straight away. It's very, very smooth. It smells like a classic perfume to me to start with. It could be a Chanel. It's kind of, yeah, in the vein of opium or something like that. And then what happens is it dries down into something much less of that spiciness that I get, and more creaminess, creamy florals. And so the florals in here, we've got the jasmine, orange flower, magnolia, tuberose and peony. So there's a lot of florals, but they don't take over, they don't make it a bouquet, in your face, a ton of flowers type of thing at all. They seem to just meld together just to create a soft floral accord that's really, really pretty. But the other notes are, I would say, a bit more dominant. So the almond really helps to add a sense of smooth, creamy, musky deliciousness, but it never gets gourmand. It doesn't feel like a gourmand, despite there being quite a lot of edible notes here. The blackcurrant, the almond, the tonka, the vanilla, marshmallow. It doesn't feel like a marshmallow type fragrance. I think the marshmallow is very, very subtle with the almond to just make it a little bit different. But actually, all in all, it feels like quite a classic fragrance, and then it kind of starts to feel a bit more modern as it sort of smooths out. And sort of now, so I'm quite a few hours in, it's reminding me a little bit of Chypre Palatine, which is really strange because there's not, well, actually Chypre Palatine has got everything in it, including the kitchen sink, so it probably has all of these in it. But it's got that sort of resinous, slightly sticky, caramelized feel to it. So the dry down to me is the best part. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it does feel now a little bit more like a gourmand, but it still doesn't teeter into edible territory. It's very nicely balanced with the florals. I'm just getting a whiff. Yeah, I like it very much. It's not too loud. I've only been able to spray, so today there was only about that much left. So I only did about 4 or 5 sprays from this little sample up here, and I only managed to get 1 or 2 sprays here. So I haven't been able to wear it as heavy as I would if I had the full bottle, but it's certainly lasting very well, and the projection is louder for the first hour or so, but actually it's when it starts to come closer to the skin, that's the point that I really enjoy the fragrance. That's when it gets kind of more resiny and more my style of fragrance. And I would say, I was walking around earlier, I was out on a high street, and I was catching whiffs of it as I walked around. So the projection's good enough for me. It's by no means is it a beast, but by no means is it a shy skin scent either. It's somewhere in between. Average, I guess you would say, for an average eau de parfum. The smell itself is not too polarizing, I don't think. It's a niche brand, and it smells niche in that it's not something you have smelt before in a designer realm, but it could be designer in that it's not too weird and wonderful. It's not too difficult to like, but it certainly doesn't have a mass appeal. It could be a fragrance from a designer house that aren't afraid to push the boundaries a little bit. So it's not too difficult to understand. I wouldn't recommend blind buying based on the notes, because it doesn't quite play out how you might expect from those notes. And I definitely recommend properly trying it on your skin and letting it sit for a while, because I don't love that opening. I like it, I think it's okay, but it's the dry down where I start to fall for it, and the dry down is really, really beautiful. So I recommend getting a sample, giving it a go for yourself, and see what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.